Welcome to the Aramark Occupational Safety Training Standard Operating Procedures for Hazards. Let's find out more about SOPs for hazards. We need to work together to create a safe and healthy work environment. Our goal is to achieve Target Zero, no harm to people or to the environment. No matter your job or workplace, you will have the responsibility to perform tasks, the authority to make decisions, and an accountability for the outcome. Each of these aspects can be related back to health and safety. You have standard operating procedures, or SOPs, to detail how a policy is to be implemented. SOPs are written guidelines that explain procedures and tasks involving recognized hazards and incident response. For every high-risk hazard, there is a corresponding SOP to keep you safe and ensure your actions are the safest possible. The Internal Responsibility System makes everyone responsible for health and safety regardless of role. It contains a clear set of statements about responsibility and authority. You don't just do health and safety on a Friday afternoon when you've got a few spare minutes. Health and safety should be ingrained in everything that you do. Before we discuss SOPs, let's discuss hazards and controls. Controls eliminate or reduce hazards and hazard exposure. Think of controls in a hierarchy. From the top, we have elimination, substitution, engineering controls, administrative controls, and personal protective equipment. SOPs are considered to be an administrative control. They explain how we perform tasks to limit our exposure to a hazard. We have numerous hazard-related SOPs, including, but not limited to, hazard identification and control, hazard reporting, health and safety inspections, and personal protective equipment. As an employee, you have responsibilities that are commonly found in SOPs. You must comply with the requirements outlined in the SOPs. Immediately report the absence of or defect in any equipment or protective device. Immediately report all situations or incidents where there is a non-compliance with this procedure or applicable provincial occupational health and safety legislation. Immediately notify your supervisor of any hazard or injury. Immediately contact your supervisor to replace defective, damaged, or worn-out equipment, and participate in health and safety training regarding workplace hazards. The purpose of the Hazard Identification and Control SOP is to identify and eliminate workplace hazards. This includes knowing how to perform a hazard analysis, select and implement appropriate control measures, and communicate the hazard and controls information. The purpose of a hazard analysis is to ensure that you are protected from exposure to hazards in the workplace. The outcome should result in increased knowledge of the dangers inherent in the tasks of employees, enhanced safety awareness, improved safety dialogue, and communication among employees, improved focus for workplace safety inspections, improved risk management, and compliance with applicable provincial occupational health and safety legislation. Key frontline employees will be included in the hazard assessment process and will be provided with training on how to conduct these assessments. All other frontline employees will be expected to review the completed hazard assessment document, observe the hazards that have been identified in the workplace, use the control measures, including PPE, that have been identified, report any uncontrolled hazards that have not been identified previously, report any control measures that are not in place, are defective and/or ineffective, or have been removed or tampered with. The SOP explains procedures for how to complete a hazard assessment. In keeping with our discussion of hazards, let's discuss the SOP that covers the reporting of hazards. The purpose of the Hazard Reporting SOP is to outline the steps needed to report hazardous situations and conditions. Should you encounter a hazard, you are required to report it to a supervisor immediately. Complete the hazard reporting form to ensure that the report is documented. Your supervisor will take the necessary steps to address the concern and report directly back to you. It's important to note that not only do employees have a responsibility to report hazards, it's a legal requirement under occupational health and safety legislation. In addition to consistently looking for hazards, we use planned inspections as a means for systematically identifying hazards. The purpose of the Health and Safety Inspections SOP is to ensure that the mandatory inspections are carried out by the designated individuals. The Joint Health and Safety Committee and the Health and Safety Representative play an active role in the inspection process. They work together with management to conduct monthly workplace inspections for the purpose of preventing workplace hazards and injuries. You should be aware of when the inspections occur in your workplace and the results of each inspection. A copy of the report and inspection schedule will be posted on the Health and Safety Board. Inspectors may ask you questions during the inspections. The purpose of these questions is to help identify any potential safety issues and gather information relevant to the inspection. One of the more recognizable control measures is personal protective equipment, or PPE. The purpose of the Personal Protective Equipment SOP is to ensure that you receive instruction on the proper use, care, and maintenance of PPE as required by law and Aramark policy. You are required to use, wear, clean, and maintain all PPE in proper condition. Not use or wear PPE if defective or damaged, and immediately contact their supervisor to replace defective, damaged, or worn-out PPE. Some of the most common types of personal protective equipment that you may be required to use while working at Aramark are eye protection, footwear, hand protection, hearing and respiratory protection. Eye protection must be used anytime there is a risk of particles, dust, chemicals, or other matter coming in contact with your eyes. For example, filling a bucket with sanitizer. Footwear. In workplaces such as a warehouse, employees are required to wear CSA-approved footwear. This footwear can be identified by the green CSA triangle. In all workplaces, all employees must wear appropriate slip-resistant footwear. Hand protection. Hand protection is used in almost every workplace, and there is a variety of different types. Cut-resistant gloves must be worn when handling or cleaning knives or sharp objects, or equipment with sharp edges. Heat-resistant gloves must be worn when handling hot objects or working near hot surfaces such as ovens, stoves, and heating tools. And proper chemical-resistant gloves must be worn when handling chemicals, if prescribed on the safety data sheets. Other specialized tasks may require the use of additional hand protection. Hearing and respiratory protection. Hearing and respiratory protection may be required in some circumstances. Your supervisor will let you know if you require this type of protection and will provide you with the appropriate PPE. We have discussed common hazard-related SOPs. Ask your supervisor for more information regarding the many SOPs that Aramark has developed. The Internal Responsibility System and its related concepts is the foundation for success in health and safety. In order for the Internal Responsibility System to be successful in a workplace, everyone must follow their responsibilities. Standard operating procedures are our means for clearly communicating each person's responsibilities. As such, SOPs are vital to ensuring the success of the Internal Responsibility System at Aramark. Always remember, incidents are preventable. Everybody is responsible for safety, and participation in prevention activities reduces incidents. At Aramark, we pledge to work together on creating a workplace that can achieve Target Zero, no harm to people or to the environment.